Sup, new avatar, and new background. In June 11th of 2025, Cygames would release Uma Musume Pretty Derby to international audiences, and it would become a viral success. A management and gambling game about anthropomorphic horse racing with a touch of Japanese idol culture. Horse concerts look very similar to Vocaloid concerts. But that's not a name you've heard in a hot minute. Vocaloids. The game itself has proven to be streamer bait, especially VTubers. I mean, it makes sense. Most of them sit here on the alignment chart instead of here, except for Rosie. Damn bovine. If you want an autistic deep dive into Cygames and their development of Uma Musume, Mujin has a 40-minute video that covers it, but he only mentions the manga and anime in passing since it's not the focus of his video. But it's the focus of mine. And this story begins all the way back in 2017 with the manga Starting Gate, Uma Musume Pretty Derby by S. Kosugi. It ran for 44 chapters until 2019, and in April 2018, Uma Musume Pretty Derby would debut to TV audiences. Animated by PA Works, whose other notable series include Another, Fairy Gone, both seasons, Skip to Loafer, and the currently airing Mikadono Sisters. So what's the actual Horse Girl story about? TLDR, it's a high school sports drama. The girls have daily lives and they live in a boarding school, Trasen Academy. The main characters of each season of Pretty Derby, because there are 3, change with each season. And the main characters for season 1 are Special Week and Silence Suzuka. Special Week is on her way to Trasen, and we get full display of how she's both kinda ditzy but also very polite. The Academy serves 2 purposes, both of which is to make money. Horse racing, which is incredibly popular in Japan, and is one of the few legal means of gambling there, as horse racing is classified as a public sport alongside bike racing, powerboat racing, and asphalt speedway motorcycle racing. Gambling is largely banned in Japan as a means to combat the Yakuza, being a way they can easily and quietly launder money. Las Vegas. But public sports and lottery are legal, and pachinko sidesteps the law in a creative way. And as long as the feds get their protection racket, they'll turn a blind eye. But back to the horse girls. One aspect to the Academy is raising and racing the girls. The other is idol shows. A very odd mashup, but I really gotta give credit to Cygames. They hit 2 major money makers, one of which they already had very much experience in with their Idolmaster series. To stand on the stage, they first must win their race. Then they can perform their show, called The Winning Concert. Enter Special Week, who's a little bit too excited to finally be able to join the school and race the races she's always dreamed of. She's checking out one of those very races at the racetrack before heading to the Academy proper, when she gets leg molested by a weirdo. His name is simply Trainer. The race itself shows off the other main character, Suzuka. The second half of the episode gives us a look at the Academy life with a brief introduction to the side characters. El Condor Pasa is an amusing side character for her bizarre speech patterns that sound like a Japanese pretending to be an American trying to speak Japanese. Watch enough anime and you'll find these instances of English. They're always amusing. Special Week is in her class, and we're told how the ranking system is broken up, with unranked and debut at the bottom and G1 at the top. And then a team tryout on the track with more horse girls, only getting name cards as introductions. There's 115 girls currently in the series, and not all of them show up in the anime. Most of them don't even get proper character introductions. And that's not counting support characters. This one's a fucking robot horse. Who let Elon design one of these things? Also not counting the spin-off series, which I will get to later. And also Gold Ship does this. With that, Special Week is involuntarily inducted into Team Spica, with Gold Ship Vodka, Daiwa Scarlet, and Silence Suzuka. On top of that, as it turns out, Suzuka's dorm mate is special weak. We see more of Suzuka and why she's called Silence. She's very taciturn and even in temperament. But it also bears to mention now, Goldship is just as erratic as her IRL counterpart. Her brand of chaos is why she's both a fan favorite and feared. Then comes Special's first day of training as part of the team, and it is unorthodox because she's playing a party game. Apparently her first race is going to be a rough one, so her trainer wants her to build her core and balance first, along with some backstory on who Special is and why she's aiming to be the best in Japan. Then comes her debut race, and of course, she wins. But because she wins, she gets to perform the concert, which she didn't practice for. It was a major flub. But it's not just Special. Scarlet, Vodka, and Goldship all won their races as well and had disastrous concerts as a result of it. Really gives you the emphasis on whom Team Spica is. And that's typically how the season goes. Horse Girls race, Horse Girl concert, interlaced with interpersonal drama and Goldship being Goldship. The first season is a tad on the boring side for me. There's some slapstick comedy to lighten the scene, and Goldship does a lot to bring levity through pure what the fuck factor. And while I kind of wish she was a main character, I don't think the show would have worked as well if she was. When the series first dropped in 2018, I dipped out after 6 episodes. I was so bored with it that I just couldn't continue. But I've got more years of experience on me in the world of fantasy that people create, and I can appreciate what was put together by PA Works, aided by Goldship's antics. I hate that I have a favorite horse girl in this. It's almost like having a favorite in My Little Pony, just less cringe and arguably not a brony thing if you don't obsess over them. I would, however, add her winning pose figure to my collection if I had a spare 220 to burn, just because I think it would fit nicely in with my other statuettes. And while I'm talking about her, or him in this instance, I might as well address why the Japanese call him the 12 billion yen incident horse. A lot of people are going to talk about it. The video's on YouTube, you can watch it for yourself. Short version, in 2015, Goldship was having a bad day, which ended up in a poor start and a last place finish during the Takarazuka Kinen. This resulted in an estimated 12 billion yen losses by people who bet on Goldship, which in 2015 is approximately 135 million US dollars. With the story of Special and Suzuka over, it would be 3 years until January 2021 when Season 2 would air, starring Tokai Teo and Meijiro McQueen. The same Meijiro that Goldship spent a lot of the first season just fucking with. Episode 1 teaches us 2 really important things. The first is it introduces Kita-san Black and Satono Diamond. At this time, they're both very young children and they are super fans of Tokai and Meijiro. The second is that it shows us the animation quality is wildly improved. And that's probably thanks to the animation being handed over to Studio Kai. Also, where did Goldship get the segue? Other than that, episode 1 mainly focuses on Tokai's motivations. And in episode 2, Tokai pulls a Suzuka and has a leg fracture, but without the depressity. Also, Suzuka seems to have achieved her goal in racing in the US. And as it turns out, Meijiro is from a very wealthy, well-to-do family. She definitely talks like one of those pseudo-noble ladies. If you watched Rock is a Lady's Modesty from last season, you know what I mean. One of the minor antagonists of the season is Team Canopus, of which the most vocal and active member appears to be the girl Twin Turbo. And I only say minor antagonist because they really just mess with Spica off the track. Twin Turbo is kind of dopey for a character. Another minor antagonist would be Mihono Bourbon, whom amidst the rivalry between Tokai and Meijiro, Mihono proves to be strong competition for the both of them. Goldship's antics are toned down for this season, and a lot of those antics seems to have been outsourced to side characters particularly Twin Turbo. By episode 7, the side character Rice Shower gets more plot time, and Goldship's Segway gets passed around a lot. Honestly, Rice Shower's story is kind of tragic, the one nobody cheers for when she wins. And even though Meijiro is one of the main characters of the season, she doesn't really feel like it outside of being involved in the major races and plot involving Tokai. Rice Shower's introduction actually marks a shift where the show gets much more tragic and depressing. Rice Shower wins races and even sets a new record, but no one cheers for her. And after Tokai breaks her leg for the 3rd time, she goes into super defeatist mode. Season 2 has a bit of a time skip to its end and goes from Tokai's concert to Kita-san and Diamond entering the academy. And I'll say again, the animation quality is very high. And airing in the fall of 2023, Season 3 starts, featuring Kita-san Black and Satono Diamond. From fangirls to freshmen, these new bloods have entered the academy of their idols and race on the tracks that they do. Kita-san joins Team Spica, but Satono joins Team Capella. A lot of familiar faces return for this season because Team Spica, including Suzuka, who is back from America. We also are told that Tokai isn't the only inspiration for Kita-san. She would also like to be like her dad, who was a stage performer. But that desire is currently unfulfilled, as she has yet to win a race. Her chief rival being a girl named Duramente. And those feelings are stoked even more when Duramente suffers a broken leg. Probably a stress fracture like Tokai, considering what the series is. Episode 3 shifts briefly to Satono's story. We also get to see Goldship actually race instead of just meme training. That's how you know this is serious business. The 3 young bloods, Kita-san, Satono Diamond, Satono Crown, and Chevelle Grand, are having a party, celebrating Satono for winning her debut race, and she reveals what her motivations for running are. Similar to Meijiro, it's a family thing. Back with Spica, Kita-san gets some good news, and Goldship stole the starting gate. Like the whole gate. Because Goldship. And then another weirdo shows up. Her name is Sounds of Earth. There's also a subplot going on with Goldship. Kita-san goes through her training montage with Mihono and Rice, while back at the track Satono has her race. After her loss, there's talk of the Satono Jinx, which is further expanded upon in her story, even though she hasn't really gotten much of the spotlight yet. But that changes in episode 6, where Satono Diamond gets the full spotlight and expands on this Satono Jinx. Apparently, no Satono can win a G1 race because something always goes wrong. A streak of bad luck. But Satono seems determined to brute force her way into breaking the jinx and proving to everyone that the Satono clan can win. A lot of this series is the same thing over and over. They are horse girls and they run. Their personal problems are sometimes mundane, being about athletics or family. The frustration of losing to friends and rivals alike, not performing as well as they thought they could. Strip away the racehorse aspect and this series is just sports story revolving around track and field, with a bit of idol culture because Idolmaster. Now here's where things get interesting. I mentioned a spin-off series. In 2020, Uma Musume Cinderella Grey, The Mermaid Left Behind, by Taiyo Kasumi began publishing. And at the time of this video, it has 194 chapters, so it's been doing well and it's been going strong. And in April of 2025, we would get the first season of the anime, consisting of 13 episodes, with a season 2 to air in October, by Cygames Pictures. They took over the animation themselves. Featuring the main characters of Oguri Cap and Fujimasa March, and set in Hashimi Gifu. The big leagues of Pretty Derby, the Twinkle series, that's miles away. While in this small town, they struggle to keep the track in a usable state. The horse girls are part of Kasamatsu Training Academy, where the girls seem more like weirdos and troublemakers than athletes. Seems some of them don't really even care too much about the races themselves. And the races they'll be part of are relegated to the prefectural ones, which makes Oguri Cap a single-minded outcast amongst her peers. She's constantly showing up to class filthy in her jersey. She runs her shoes until they literally fall apart. She eats like she's part space monkey, and she may be a little dull in the head, but she's the only one who looks like she's trying to actually become a proper and successful racehorse. And she really shows her ability in the practice races, with the only two actually taking notice of her being Fujimasa and Kitahara Joe. Kitahara being a trainer, and he signs both Oguri and Oguri's one friend, Bell No Light, to his team. Oguri really comes off like all of the weird parts of Gold Ship with all of the sane parts of Silent Suzuka. And in their debut race, we find out that Fujimasa isn't just a main character, she's Oguri's rival, and she's actively hostile against her. Also, Kitahara's team actually feels like a team since Belno is extremely knowledgeable about athletic wear, since her family kind of runs a brand store for it. She doesn't make for a very good racer, but she knows shoes, and she knows them better than anyone else, which kind of makes her a really good foil for Oguri's lack of common sense. But Oguri's life would change when Rudolph scouts her for the national races, which puts her in even more odds with Fujimasa. The two had promised to compete against each other in the Tokai Derby, but that doesn't look like it's going to be happening anymore. There's some race drama, and Oguri finally starts to make friends with the other horse girls when she is pulled into Tresson Academy. But she's not going alone. Belno took the entrance exam and passed, so she's going with. Now they have a new goal, the Japan Derby, and Oguri is set on nothing but victory. The problem is that she was late to register for the classic races, and wouldn't be able to compete in the Japan Derby this time around. So she has to compete in other races, which is kind of a double-edged sword. And while she's stacking wins in D2 like she's stacking bodies, there's other strong competition making itself known, biggest of which being Tamamo Cross. And Oguri gets her shot at Tamamo in the Autumn Tenno-sho. The racer lineup is packed with important names, but the only ones that matter, the only ones that everyone's watching, are the Beast versus the White Lightning. And that's where the anime currently sits, 4 seasons at 13 episodes each. So what can be said about the anime? Season 1 is a good introduction. It outlines what it is, and has a nice balance of serious and silly to keep it interesting. Even though I don't really favor either Special Week or Silent Suzuka, I'm just not a fan of those characters. Season 2 is much heavier on the drama and wasn't as good. Season 3 also went heavy on the drama, but I found myself caring more about Kita-san Black by the end of the story. Cinderella Grey keeps the same heavy drama, but interlaces Oguri's oddball behavior to comedic effect. It's much better written than any of Pretty Derby. There's an absolute load of side characters that don't get their stories told, but you can get those stories from the gacha game if you play it. And since Oguri gets her second season in October, there's going to be more coming. We're far from the finish line. And one of the best points is that the 3 studios involved in making this series do a good job emphasizing the speed and intensity of the races from the perspective of the horse girls. It's not a heavily fantasy-based series, so even though I kind of wish there was more emphasis on the burst and ultimate moments of the girls while they're racing, I can understand why it's not emphasized as much. But Cinderella Grey is definitely emphasizing it more than Pretty Derby was. And weirdly, I'm kind of excited for Season 2 in October. I couldn't wait, I read ahead in the manga, and that's the Uma Musume anime. I am the NBT. This has been the Noble Weeaboo. If you like the Horse Girl game, then you're probably going to like the anime. And I can definitely recommend at least the first season of Pretty Derby and Cinderella Grey. They're worth watching.